I don't either.
helpless, poor and weary, bring every hurt and need of healing. He is all you need. He is everything you need. Come to the cross with every failure, bring every burden, shame you carry.
Dear Lord, how wonderful you really are. God, as we worship you this morning, God, just give us peace. Only your peace that can pass all understanding. God, as we worship you this morning, God, as we have heavy hearts for what's going on across the world, God, let us focus on you. Let us put our faith in you that your plan is bigger. Your plan is better. God, you are the God of miracles. All things work together for good for those who are called to your purpose. In Jesus' name.
Trust you.
It's great to see all of you here this morning in the fellowship hall. Of course, welcome everybody who is joining us on social media. We're glad you joined us as well. Tomorrow, the church office will be sending out some information about how you can be both praying for Ukraine and how you can help the refugees who are there. Obviously, as you know, things are pretty hard to understand exactly what's going on. There is a significant Baptist church in Ukraine that we do have some communication with, although that is difficult. We are also working with our partners in Poland and Romania, who we have a very strong connection with, as they care for refugees. And you can also see on one of these emails, if you are interested in joining a worldwide prayer group that will be praying for Ukraine via Zoom, there will be a link on that. And you can join that group just to join with Christians all over the world. Totally different languages, totally different cultures, praying for peace. This morning, we are, as Virginia Baptist, every church, taking some time just to pray for the situation together as people. So what I'd like to ask you to do this morning is just in silence, to pray for God's peace, to pray for the end of this conflict, and for all of the civilians who are grieving already for the death of those who were innocents killed in bombings and missile strikes, to pray for their comfort in the midst of their grief. So, as you would you join me in silent prayer for peace? As we just sang, Lord, we believe in miracles. We believe that good conquers evil. We believe that innocent lives should be protected at all costs. And that it is your will for peace to reign on this earth. While Ukraine seems very far away, the pictures we have all seen of those suffering, of those hiding in shelters, has touched each and every one of us. And we cry out for our brothers and sisters who are in danger, that you would protect them and keep them in your care. For the churches in Ukraine that are doing heroic work right now to care for others, we ask for strengthening, for supplies to get to them, and for you to watch over them and keep them safe. For all the countries that have opened their borders to welcome in refugees, we ask again for blessing upon them and for the resources they need to be able to care for these people in such desperate situations. As we have opportunity this week to give of our funds and to continue to pray, may you use us as you see fit, so that everyone in this place that is now full of fear and terror would experience the love of their brothers and sisters in a tiny little town called Clarksville. Whether they know our names or not, may they receive our gifts and our love by you for your glory and to the end of all good things. We ask all this in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Darkness, you give hope, you restore.
Transfiguration Sunday. It is the day when the church remembers the story that is told in 3 of the Gospels of how Jesus is revealed to be fully divine and yet fully human among us. It is also a story of how God heals. Here it is from Luke chapter 9. Now, about 8 days after these sayings, Jesus took with him Peter and John and James and went up on the mountain to pray. And while he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly they saw 2 men, Moses and Elijah, talking to him. They appeared in glory and were speaking of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and his companions were weighed down with sleep, and since they had stood awake, they saw the glory. And the 2 men who stood with him, just as they were leaving him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it's good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. Not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were terrified as they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him. When the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent, and in those days told no one of the things they had seen. On the next day, when they had come down from the mountain, a great crowd met him. Just then a man from the crowd shouted, Teacher, I beg you to look at my son. He's my only child. Suddenly a spirit seizes him, and all at once he shrieks. It convulses him until he foams at the mouth. It mauls and will scarcely leave him. I begged your disciples to cast it out, but they could not. Jesus answered, You faithless and perverse generation, how much longer must I be with you and bear with you? Bring your son here. While he was coming, the demon dashed into the ground in convulsions. But Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, healed the boy, and gave him back to his father. And all were astounded at the greatness of God. All were astounded at the greatness of God. It's a story of history, something that occurred. This is a story of revelation, of Jesus being revealed as he fully is. It's a story that Jesus is divine, greater than Elijah, who was the greatest prophet, greater than Moses, the lawgiver. It is the story of a father, desperate, disappointed by the disciples of Jesus. How does this powerful, beautiful, amazing revealed God allow evil, a child, to be in such horrible condition? This is the problem that, if you want to know its technical word and impress somebody at a cocktail party, theodicy. Sorry, we're Baptist. Have a grape juice party. Okay, so theodicy is the question that theologians and the church has grappled with for 2,000 years, which is just as I stated it. How does a perfectly loving, how does a perfectly powerful God allow evil to still exist? There is no perfect answer to this, but I think we see today, especially, the free will that we have been given, you and I as human beings, is a powerful thing. I mean, really, every one of you in this room, when you walk out of that door in just a few minutes, you can do evil, you can do good. Totally. Even more so, you can see evil and choose to do nothing. You can see good and choose to not encourage it. What we are seeing in Ukraine and in Europe right now is the actions of a terribly evil man who wants to control something that is not by right or law his, and is willing to kill innocent civilians to get it. That is evil. That is at its very definition evil. The reason it is occurring is because he chose to do so. Now, you have the same question I do. Why does God not step in and stop it? Why did God not stop the Holocaust? Why did God not stop the tsunami that hit India? Why did God? I don't know. I can't answer that for you, but I think this passage gives us a clue, and it's something that has helped me as I've struggled with this. Because it's not just a theoretical issue, right? It is not just an issue that affects people other than us. It affects every one of us. Every one of us in this room has stood over a grave of somebody much too young. Every one of us in this room has watched a good person. I mean a good person. Someone who did good in this world and who loved others and who cared for others suffer and experience horrible tragedy. It is personal. And when this Father cries out to Jesus, he is echoing what I have cried out as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a friend. Jesus, help me. The interesting part, of course, is that he turns to the disciples and says, they can't. In the midst of this, Jesus appears. In the midst of the suffering and the trial and everything else going wrong, Jesus appears not in his divine holy form that the disciples saw on the mountain. Not in the form similar to Moses when he came down the mountain that frightened his people so badly he had to wear a mask over his face or a veil over his face. Not in the form that frightens and causes awe, but in the form of someone fully human who walks with us and knows us and loves us. This is why we need worship. This is why we need to come together and sing and hear the scriptures read and pray together, because we need to be reminded of who this Jesus is. The one that was sent to us because God loved us so much he just couldn't stand anymore to see us suffer. And knowing that the only way to bring us fully back home was to send his Son so that he could teach us about love and mercy. The God who loves us so much that came to us and said that we could find peace if we would simply follow him. That if we laid aside everything else, God would provide for our needs. The one who says, behold, I am with you always. When I was doing my doctoral work, one of the things I had to learn about was the difference between qualitative and quantitative. Basically, what that means is quantitative is stuff you can count, right? Churches like to do this. You know, the 3 great V's of the church. You know what those are? Okay. Budgets, buildings, butts in the seats. How many churches think that's what they're in it for? And a church that's focused on those things first, you can spot them a mile away. Hi, how are you? Can I see your 10W40? Love to have you. Nice call. You can spot them a mile away. That's quantitative. That's stuff you can count. There's nothing really wrong with that. As long as you let the qualitative stuff lead the church. That's the stuff you can't count. That's the stuff when you look into somebody's eyes and you realize in the midst of their tragedy, God has appeared and has said, I'm here. It's going to be okay. That's the stuff that happens that when you and I are afraid or someone we know is afraid, and you see it again in them, a peace comes over them and you know the Spirit has touched them. It's those moments where even in the midst of this crazy world you and I live in this morning, where war is raging in Europe for the first time in decades, we not only have peace as we look at it, but we follow the one who walks into war zones and heals children and protects mothers and sets people free. And all were amazed at the power of God. All were amazed at the power of God. They didn't see him in his divine. They saw him in his compassion. And all were amazed at the power of God. Here's my question. When's the last time you've been in one of those places and all were amazed at the power of God? It's been a while. May I suggest to you that there's probably going to be an opportunity, if you're willing to take it this week, where you can be a part of what God is doing and stand back in amazement. The question is, do you really want to? And will you be ready? Would you please pray? God, we thank you that you are doing miracles in this world and we need them. We need to see our friends who are addicted to things set free. We need to see our friends in fear set free. We need to see our friends who are grieving set free. We need to see our friends who are sick set free. We need to see this world baptized again in your peace. May we live in such a way that we get to see moments of people around us being amazed at your power. And as you desire to use us, may we be the ones who bring others to you. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Several things I need to remind you of this morning. One is that tonight we do have a business meeting, 7 p.m. here at the Fellowship Hall. Oh, are you all in here? Okay, 7 p.m. in the, what's that up there? Sanctuary, thank you. We'll be at 7 p.m. in the sanctuary, and basically we have two things we know we need to vote on. Well, one we need to vote on. One is that our normal quarterly business meeting in April would fall on Easter. So we're going to postpone that a couple weeks. And then also the deacons are presenting a motion about changing the length of time they can serve. Since that is a change to the bylaws, we'll present it tonight. We will discuss it, but it will not be voted on until that next business meeting. This Tuesday, we restart our Tuesday morning Bible studies at 11. If you've not joined us for that, it's a lot of fun. We meet in here at 11 o'clock, and then those that can't, we go out to lunch. This week, I'm teaching. Normally, Ariel teaches the first one, but I will be away next week, so come and join us for that if you can. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, upstairs in the sanctuary. We will have a special service. We're going to do Ash Wednesday. Now, we haven't done this in a while because of COVID. If you've never done an Ash Wednesday service before and are curious about what that's like, we invite you to come. It is a very moving service, kind of somber, but there's also a lot of hope in it. So 7 o'clock, lasts about 20, 25 minutes, it's very short. We'll meet upstairs before that.
All right. Tonight, from 6:30 to 7:30, we will have youth. We meet right here. Right here. So if you have a teenager in your life who is a middle schooler or a high schooler, they are more than welcome to join us. And as soon as Cristobal gets the hood in at the New Mexican restaurant on Sunday nights at 7:30, our high schoolers, we're going to meet there for dinner and devotions. On Monday nights, most of us get to the brewery about 6 o'clock, but we start Bible study at 7. So if you are a young adult and you would like to join us for Bibles and Brews, we take up the middle table in the middle of the brewery, and we have a Bible study there. Wednesday nights at 6:30, our children meet, and we are doing a bricks and Bible study. So we're using Legos and large Lego blocks to go through some of our Bible studies, or some of our Bible stories. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's everything I do during the week. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, not really. Well, I think it's really cool if you get to see some pictures. Would you stand, please, and join us for our blessing? May the God of miracles go with you. I'm deeply thankful, friends, that you are followers of Christ. And I know as you go from this place, there is something out there for you. I don't know. But God does. May you listen well. May you follow His direction. And may we come back next week with stories of how people were amazed. People were amazed at the goodness of God. Love you guys.